You can have a whole podcast now that never happened.
Will dummy heads die out at some point? Why are we even doing this?
Well, for now, we still have jobs.
Yeah. All right, Devin, so nice to meet you. Thanks for doing this with me. I just saw you on YouTube and saw you also have a similar microphone as I do. So I thought we should chat, and I really like your unconventional way of recording stuff and thinking about binaural audio. So let's just have a talk and see what's going to happen. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for talking to me. I'm curious, I've watched some of your videos that you've put out with some of the binaural work you've done, and they're really cool. I think you did a commercial for, was it Audi?
Yeah.
So talk to me about what has been a challenge for you, or what are some of the more interesting things that you've thought about experimenting with, sort of looking forward to the tech of the potential of binaural technology.
I have a strong background with virtual reality, like 7 years ago when 360 videos were cool, I guess, and people were recording with like quad binaural or slowly transitioning into ambisonics, and I tested all of the tools, and I figured that still a dummy head sounds so good. You just press record, and then you have the experience and you have the reference, just like you say, the documentary style approach. It's just like being there, and trying to replace that with like an ambisonics microphone or combining it with lavaliers or boom microphones. For me, it's not believable having people in a studio and then panning everything around in post. This is not how it works. So what I figured is that it always depends on what the sound is. I had this production Sounds of Germany, where I was traveling all across Germany, capturing the sounds of the cities and then editing it to be a beat and then to be music. I recorded with a dummy head and mono microphone and ambisonics to see in post-production what would work best. And the hard truth is that it always depended on the sound. I recorded a fountain, and it sounded so good on the dummy head when I was doing some movements, so I could really distinguish, oh, this is not just white noise, this is something externalizing around you. But then the next sound was opening a bottle, and it sounded so weird on the dummy head that I had to use the spot microphone and spatialize it later. Sometimes the combination of both worked better, or sometimes even ambisonics by rotating it or just leaving it as it is. So it's so hard to plan this at the beginning. I think this is the hard truth.
Yeah, so here, in general, when you're dealing with microphones, one of the hardest things to manage is the low frequency response of the microphone. I noticed this with my binaural experimentations. The way a microphone will pick up low frequency sound, and then the way that you experience that is just really different psychoacoustically than the way you actually experience it in person. For example, you put up a binaural microphone in outdoors, the slightest breeze, there will be like a rumble there. That is what was happening in the air. But that's just psychoacoustically not how you experience it in that moment. So I, a lot of times, found myself having to either use like a high pass filter, and then I would mix in elements from spot microphones that were placed on instruments that had lower sounds. And I don't know, I've had certain thoughts like maybe this could be an AI thing one day, where the AI listens to the low frequency content and strips the noise and just leaves the clean bass that should be there, so it's more psychoacoustically pleasing. What are your thoughts about this going forward, with how to handle low frequency in the binaural space?
Yeah, I think most of the time the approach of people is wrong, that they try to recreate reality and just putting out a microphone and pressing record and going back to the studio wearing headphones, as to say, for some reason doesn't work. It may have to do with it's just a generic dummy head. Maybe it doesn't even have a body. Maybe there is some sound being compensated by that. I have no idea. But what I say the best approach is make it believable. And this is literally what you just said, listening to the recording and figuring, okay, this is not how I remember it. And this is still where, luckily, I guess, sound guys can't really be replaced, because just being there is a good reference. For me, it's such a relief that I know, there's a production, I can be there. Because if they send me any files, I have no reference. I have no idea, was it really that loud? Oh my God, the car sounds so weird. And why is that? And I think, the key is just being there and putting away your headphones and just listen. And I hope that AI cannot really replace that, because there are so many parameters in the meantime. But yeah, probably will be replaced anyway. So that's not my
Right.
fear.
Yeah. I'm curious what you think about the idea of using multiple binaural microphone systems in the same recording. Does it always need to just be the one binaural microphone? Or what do you think about having combinations of different binaural microphones in the same recording environment? Does that work, or are there benefits to that? Is it just like a problem?
When I bought this microphone, I thought, oh my god, this will be so amazing to record 8 channels of binaural audio at the same time and then listening to it. And then I was like, that's not how it works. Because literally the thing is looking in 4 different directions, giving you a sort of white mono, I guess. So I was sort of disappointed. And everybody was, oh, you should record everything.
Right.
I was like, nah, I usually just have one cable plugged in. So for me, I always think a lot about perspective. Like, where is the listener? And this is a question that people working with stereo don't even ask themselves. So I would say just use one perspective for the listener, which would be one microphone, like a dummy head, like an Ambisonics microphone. But of course, it can work to have like an additional dummy head. But for example, I wouldn't just take another microphone 1 meter away, but I don't know, get very close to it, because I think this is what also works really nice with ASMR sort of content,
Right.
having this whispering thing. And this could make sense to layer this on top, or have something very extreme further away and maybe blend between the microphone. But if it works, it works. I mean, do whatever you want, but I think we lose a little bit for this binaural part if we add multiple perspectives.
Do you think that eventually we just won't ever be using binaural microphones at all? We'll be using some other type of microphone system that can capture a version of the sound that then a processing algorithm will take and just recreate any binaural processing. So for example, you could just like put on your pair of headphones and maybe you can walk around a venue, and the binaural sound that you're experiencing is changing depending on where it knows you are in the venue and how you've turned your head and stuff like this. Gaming already does, I think, a little bit of this, where if you turn your head, it will probably automatically switch between the different pairs of ears depending on how you did the recording. Or do you think that there will always be a place for the literal binaural head microphone in an environment? Like, will there always just be a need for that?
I love the question, because I literally wanted you to ask the same thing. Will dummy heads die out at some point? I think as of right now, I would say no, because we are fans. Clearly, they have advantages that we can't really recreate with any algorithms. I think the problem is that, let's take a car passing by, is that you literally do a mono recording of a car sound, but in reality, it's not just one sound source. It's actually, I don't know, hundreds or thousands. Like, you have the wheels, you have the wind, you have a lot of dirt actually coming from all around you. And if you listen to a dummy head recording, there's so much going on that you wouldn't really have thought about, because your brain always filters out what's important for you. And
Right.
for me, this is all missing with any algorithms. I think maybe in 10, 20 or more years, this could be a thing that we just prompt, create a car sound, and then it has the perfect number of sound sources. I think this could replace a dummy head, because clearly this thing has a problem. It has a generic HRTF. And now we're slowly transitioning into headphones, already making it normal to take pictures of your ear to put into your smartphone, and then having personalized HRTF. But yeah, I think it will slowly wear out, but not today.
Not today. Yeah, I mean, with the advent of like AI speech production, and like you can have a whole podcast now between two people that never happened. Like,
why are we even doing this? Like, all right.
Yeah, maybe we'll get replaced. Like, maybe this is AI. Maybe we're not even here right now, and everyone's gonna wonder if we actually had this conversation, because it was just an AI bot that created this. But joking aside, like, the reality is that like I'm not sure why in principle you couldn't just have an AI grab a hold of a physical modeling program for an instrument and play a song on a virtual violin that then was piped through an algorithm that created that sound in a virtual concert hall for a set of headphones a person was wearing that were sensitive to their physical motion and their location within a venue, so they could walk around in their backyard and turn their head and everything, and they are going to hear the sound of a violin being played in an acoustic church. And the whole thing is all generated by like AI. In principle, I'm not sure why this is impossible, but we could get to a point someday where you can just like have the AI, it knows your voice, and it can just like have you sing that song, and it has a whole band back behind you that's like great and making creative musical decisions. And then it can be piped out to people in a binaural sense. And let's think ahead to something like the Neuralink that Elon Musk's working on, where you don't even have to wear headphones. It just goes into your head.
Just think it, yeah.
Like in a binaural sense, we're still thinking of this. Is why I asked earlier the possibility of combining multiple. Like we're still thinking of the auditory experience in a binaural sense. But what if you could cheat that? What if there's a way to augment that and cheat a little bit? And it's hard to imagine what that would even mean, but it's just.
But
I don't
honestly,
know.
what you just mentioned, like this future where just the AI does this, I think this is going to happen. We just cannot do it yet. That's the
Not
point.
yet.
What
Yeah.
I know, like I do a lot of consulting for the automotive industry, and I can't tell too much, but they can't create impulse responses in real time. There's no way.
Yeah.
You have so many obstacles, like, oh, the window is glass, and then you have the front, and it's plastic, and it all has to be calculated. They basically press render, wait for tomorrow, and then they have one tiny impulse response. And this is what they can work with, and only for one position. So I think this is currently just like very render heavy, but I feel like in the future there will be just, I don't know, think of a scene, and the AI will automatically generate sounds that would match to the scene, and you don't have to import your background noise and your bird sounds and whatnot. I see this is going to happen.
Yeah. Well, for now, we still have jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And someday we'll be talking about the good old days, when we still had jobs and the AI took over.
I think honestly, I'm not yet too worried. I mean, it's scary, like as a content creator, what's happening. I just created a video of myself talking Spanish with an AI and stuff, and what the hell? And it's happening so quick, it's insane. But still, I feel like, especially with this immersive audio thing, there are still so oddly specific use cases that I'm doing, which an AI can't really do. I mean, recreating a podcast, because there's so much data that can be trained on, but doing like weird ASMR commercials for an automotive brand, I'm not sure if an AI can do that in the near future, but prove me wrong.
Yeah, well, this has been really fun. We should do this again. I have like 80 more things I'd love to talk to you about, but I have to run. I'm sure we're both very busy.
Likewise.
But yeah, this is great chat. And
Devin,
definitely let's do this again sometime.
Thanks for taking your time. It was a pleasure. And talk soon.
All right.
Cheers.